A good game is like a good cup of tea. Everything has to come together to make it just right. A game has to balance a story, coding, graphics, handling, and much more. With tea, it's about the water temperature, the brand, the steeping time, the heat. So much to have a comfy, cozy experience. I'm your host, Nolan Duncan, and I want to talk about the games that are comfy and cozy to relax to, even if they aren't traditionally comfy. Today, we're finally discussing a game that isn't traditionally comfy. We're talking about Helldivers 2, or as I like to call it, Space Vietnam.
Remember quick, you asked for this.
Yes, he did.
You got two hicks from a holler, screaming Space Vietnam.
I am John Helldiver.
Request approved. Deploying reinforce. 5 minutes left. Please meet your step, Helldiver. Ready to liberate. Air sample collected.
Go. Get hurt. Never claimed to be. That's your fault for trusting me.
I've been in worse situations. Should we extract now, or?
Helldivers 2 released in 2024, making this the most recent game we have looked at on this show. Developed by Arrowhead Game Studios and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment, the game serves as a sequel to 2015's Helldivers. The game takes place in the 22nd century and follows the Helldivers, shock troops that wage war against different threats to humanity to save humanity and spread managed democracy. The game released on February 8th, 2024 for PlayStation 5 and Windows, and then released for the Xbox Series XS consoles on August 26th, 2025. The game is a live service, player versus environment shooter game played from a third-person perspective. Players can tackle randomly generated missions throughout the different planets in the game, either on their own or with up to 3 other players across a wide variety of difficulties. And let me say, if you try to play the higher difficulties, try to get some friends. Not only does it make the missions actually manageable, but by God, do these missions become so much funnier. Now, I do want to warn you, today's episode will get a little uncomfy as we talk heavily about the things me and the guests do not like about Helldivers, but it comes from a place of love, because live service games are such a weird thing to talk about nowadays. Anyways, we have 2 guests you'll hear predominantly throughout today's episode. We have 2 good buddies of mine, Peyton Cisco and Connor Brown. Peyton Cisco is a criminal justice and psychology major at Marshall, who also serves as WMUL's promotions director. Connor Brown is a sports journalism major at Marshall, who is a member of WMUL's sports staff. You can hear him on live sports coverage, and you can even hear him on the WMUL DPS podcast List Life as one of the 2 co-hosts. Both of them have played Helldivers for quite some time now. Now, before we go any further, while I covered what Helldivers 2 is, I think Connor explained it best. He's been playing the game since release and thinks highly of the game.
Democracy. That's what Helldivers 2 is to me. It's also just probably one of the best friend games out there, like to play with your friends, I would say. I remember it came out my senior year of high school. Is that right? February of 2024? I think it released.
I think so. Of course, it's more than democracy. It's a bonding experience for him and his friends from high school. He's made a lot of great memories with them through the game.
Yeah, me and my buddies, we saw everything. I knew nothing about Helldivers when it first came out. I didn't know there was a first one. And then I looked up the first one. It was one of those top-down shooters, one of those. And then Helldivers 2 came out, and I just thought it was the best game to play with your friends, and it's just one of the most fun action games I've ever played. So much crap can happen in this game. I feel like if everything's against you, even the people you play with, depends. I have a buddy we play with, and he is awful to play with, but it still makes a game fun. We have a lot of moments. My buddy, he has he records the games we play just so we can go back and look at them because there's really so much crazy stuff happens. So I overall, what is the game? It's a great bonding experience or friendship destroying with your friends. Recent memory we have is one of my friends. He is horrible at driving the cars. Extremely horrible at driving the cars in this game. And honestly, they're honestly kind of hard to drive. I won't lie.
The tank isn't fun. When
No,
you're, like,
I'll be honest.
controlling the
I don't
turret.
like it. I'm the only one. I'm the one that gets stuck to driving the tank, and the speed on that thing is forever. It takes forever to go. But we were driving one of the cars with the Gatling gun on top. I was on top. Other two buddies were in the seats, and he was driving. I'm so serious. I'm like, crap, you're not here. He was driving for 5 seconds, and he flipped the car in like 5 seconds, and literally we rolled. I died immediately, rolling across the way. Then and then someone, like how the Illuminate throws grenades. Yeah, one threw a grenade at us, and the whole car exploded and killed all of us, and we banned him from driving. Another one we have is one of those like defend the point missions where you like launch the missiles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
One of my buddies decided for some reason to bring the gas mines and the flame mines in a tiny little secluded area. I was on top of like an area watching this hell fire go down and everything. And two of my buddies are in the corner stuck. He throws a stratagem in the middle of the map, and the flame mines go everywhere, and it kills all of them. And I cannot repeat the words that was said whenever one of my buddies died, but let's just say we banned him from ever using the flame mines and gas mines ever again because he's such just... Oh, I'm thinking about it now. It just grinds my gears the way he does these things to us. I hate it so much, but it is funny when you look back on it because in general, it's just really funny. And like, that's one of my favorite moments about the game is you can create so many funny moments.
Peyton has also been playing the game since release, joining around the beginning of one of the game's first major events.
So I've been playing Helldivers since around Malevolon Creek, which was one of our first major events. So I want to say that was like, it might have been early 2024, or it might have been late. I don't remember the exact answer. I think I just came back to college, so I'm pretty sure it was late 24. So about 2 years now.
He's continued to play the game because he finds enjoyment from how stupid the game can get.
It's just dumb fun. Okay. I mean, you can accept you're not going to win sometimes, or you can go and play on a lower difficulty and knock it out of the ball game. I mean, there's endless opportunities for you and your friends.
Now, I do need to back up a little because we've just used terms like Malevolon Creek and Illuminates, and unless you've played Helldivers, you have no idea what is being said. The main gameplay loop of Helldivers revolves around you and your Super Destroyer spaceship. It's the hub of the whole game. It's where every player hangs out. Outside of the name of your ship, you can't really customize your hub area, which makes sense because when you are in a squad with other players, you congregate on the squad leader's destroyer. This is where everything happens. The first major area of the ship is the bridge. It's where you go to the map selection screen to select a mission, and then you pick your loadouts for the game. And trust me, the weapons are a lot of fun. There's a wide variety of weapons. There's the standard secondary primary weapons, but there are also support weapons that are larger primaries. I myself normally run a combination of the melee stun baton as my secondary and the laser beam firing scythe as my primary. And I'll switch between the super laser cannon and the big machine gun called the stalwart for my support weapon. For Peyton, he's actually a fan of...
One word. Shotgun.
I am not surprised.
I was a little disappointed with some of the first shotguns we received. The automatic one, the breaker, what was the other one? I can't remember the name. Basically, all the shotguns we received, even the Halo one, wasn't fun. And then came the Sweeper. The Sweeper is my love. The Sweeper is my child. It is the World War I shotgun.
It is.
Or it's the
everything
Entrenched
you've ever
Division
wanted.
shotgun. And I love the Entrenched Division. So I had to get it. And I have loved it. Loved. With a big old L at the front.
Now, I should note that is his favorite primary. His favorite stratagem is called a Hell Bomb.
Portable Hell Bomb. 250 kilogram bomb.
And why specifically the portable hell
Or
bomb?
500 kilogram bomb. Portable hell bomb, you can strap it to your back. I haven't unlocked it on Xbox yet. I'm still working there. But you'd strap it to your back and you would bum rush, whatever, drop it and go. And it's
Pretty sure I've been a victim of it a few times.
you haven't been a victim of a portable hell bomb yet.
But I shot a hell bomb that exploded in my face because
Well, imagine that.
I thought it was a bug.
But you got about 10 seconds to figure it out.
Oh.
And that
Okay.
includes the time to arm it. I'm pretty sure you get 5 seconds after arming it.
Oh.
Yeah. So you either know where the hell bomb goes or you get blown up with it.
Okay.
And you can prime it while it's on your back, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's amazing.
So,
Suicide
might be
bomber.
coming to a dive near you.
Connor and I were laughing about how common friendly fire accidents are in the game. At least when I was playing with Peyton a few weeks ago, we just kept accidentally shooting each other over and over. But just by chance, Connor is also a big fan of the shotgun.
I run, if I'm not running the super laser stratagem supply, I'm running stalwart. And there were
yeah.
so many times where like Peyton's running, he's got, and like, me and Peyton both realized like how amazing the stalwart is,
really
especially
good.
like tearing down Illuminates. So like he'd be running, I'd like run up and be like, I got you. The problem is that like stalwart, really good machine gun.
Yeah.
A little too good at its job. There were times where like we would be like holding off a horde. I would be standing behind him and he would move just in front of me.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Yeah. And like I have moments like I use that a lot, but I recently just bought like 2 weeks ago, I think it was in the super credits. It was like a shotgun was in the super shop and I bought it. It's really good. It's like a trench gun basically. It just mows through everybody. But we have been fighting Illuminate recently. I have not fought the bugs in a long time, nor the automatons. I've been fighting the Illuminate.
Now, I will add that while this game sounds unfun, the fact that we keep killing each other is what makes this so much fun. Multiple times, Peyton and I would just gun each other down for no reason other than gun go burr. Now, the actual map is split into 2 tabs. The first tab is the entire galaxy. From here, you pick which planet you want to fight on in which specific sector. Do note, the planet you pick isn't what's important, it's what region/sector you pick. The game has 3 oddly evenly separated regions, one for each enemy type. When the game first launched, there were only 2 enemy factions, but after a few updates, a third was introduced. The 3 enemy factions are Illuminates, which you will hear us refer to as squids occasionally and were the most recent to be added, Terminids, which we will refer to as the bugs, and the automatons, which we will be calling the bots as well as clankers. Do note, enemy types do not equal difficulty. The bugs are just as tough as the squids, just for different reasons. Though, I will say, the Illuminates are actually really difficult, and the bots are also. Once again, difficulty entirely depends on your loadouts and whatnot. You know, if you're not running fire weapons against bugs, I don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, Connor's been fighting the Illuminates a lot recently because he actually finds them to be the most interesting enemy to face.
We've been finding because we just think that's the funniest one. But the one thing I hate is those stupid purple things
Oh, but the ones that
scan
around,
you
yeah.
and they bring a
For
ship
me,
in.
at least, it's like the little they look like what little 3-dimensional diamonds.
Yeah.
Those are if you take a scythe, I've noticed they don't hold up to laser beams really well.
Okay, good.
And while the Illuminates can be the Illuminates, Peyton has really strong opinions on the bugs and automatons.
So the bugs are the bugs. We hate them. They can fly sometimes. And, they're just all around terrible. Don't fight the bugs.
Why not? Why not fight the bugs, Peyton?
Almost like I don't want a flying roach to look at me and decide it's my day.
That's fair.
But
Then there's the automatons, which I will say, the automatons, they're pretty cool.
okay, let me rephrase that first answer. The bugs are the bugs. They can fly. They have the predator strain. They have stalkers. You can get swarmed very easy, and they kind of just suck. Fire kills them. If you don't run fire, it just doesn't happen. Back to your bots.
But, the bot's pretty cool. I like the funny noises they make, the brr, 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 brr.
Honestly, the bots are that's my favorite faction.
Yeah, they're just little robot guys. They're little robot guys that are just kind of chilling, and we're just they're one of the few factions where I'm like, guys, are we the bad guys?
What did you just say?
Please, no. Sweet liberty!
Now, joking about Helldivers and democracy aside, while you're on the ground, you can encounter various terrain effects of all kinds. You have simple ones like rainstorms, thick fog, extreme fog, blizzards, tremors, sandstorms, and intense heat. Then you have insane ones like acid storm, volcanic activity, ion storms, meteor storms, and my favorite, fire tornadoes. They suck. They really do. But they're my favorite because of how cinematic they are. Trust me, when I'm just running around a planet going from point A to point B to get to the next outpost or the next main objective, it's really annoying to be walking and a fire tornado appear and my leg just barely clip into the tornado and suddenly I'm caught on fire. But, believe me when I say, it's a magical moment at the very end. So here me and Peyton are, waiting for our evac ship known as the Eagle to land, to arrive. Enemies are swarming us. I mean, they're coming down. You got the big dramatic music in the background playing, signifying that it's the end of the mission. I'm dropping sentries down, and out of nowhere, enemies are getting funneled into one entryway because fire tornadoes are like springing up all over us, and it's all chaos, and we're having to step back to keep ourselves from like not getting immediately overrun and lit on fire. True cinema, Martin Scorsese absolute cinema meme inserted here. Now, the Malevelon Creek comment you heard earlier refers to, well, Malevelon Creek, one of the locales in the game that are tied to major events. In fact, Malevelon Creek was one of the first major events within the game. Being a live service game, Helldivers thrives off of major events that require players to come together to accomplish a target. For Peyton, the Creek was the first for him to experience when the game was still at its peak.
It's not as bad as the modern state. I mean, it was our first major battle, if that makes sense.
The modern state of Helldivers is an interesting place to look at.
But, I mean, it's splitting hairs, but I feel like the Creek was like, it was a first minor victory for us. It was like a starting point. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little scared. I don't know what to do against squids. Squids are scary.
Arrowhead controls the entire story of the game. More specifically, a developer named Joel.
So what's your thoughts on the fact that like a guy named Joel just controls everything?
If I didn't know any better, I think you're trying... Where's Joel?
Who is Joel?
Who is Joel?
What is...
See, we always say, who is Joel? But we never ask, how is Joel?
Jinx.
Damn. Here's a soda.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
That's yours or mine?
Yours.
Oh.
I'm finishing this off.
Damn.
It's led me into a conversation with Connor about this topic. Since the game is heavily influenced by playability, the game's story feels handheld at times. For example, a recent event saw divers finally getting to explore their home planet of Super Earth to protect it from an invasion from the Illuminate. If you were on the internet during this time and saw news about this, then you know it didn't look like we were winning. In fact, as the event kept going on, more and more of Super Earth fell. The Illuminates are still the most difficult enemy to face to this day, even with weapons like the Scythe, which I've learned are actually fairly effective against the Illuminates. Like I said, Super Earth was a dying battle when, out of nowhere, the Illuminate forces disappeared. We were losing, and yet we somehow won? The claim is that this was simply the Illuminates testing our defenses, and that wasn't their full force, but I personally don't fully believe that. Now, these live events aren't bad. In fact, they use the story and world building as ways to introduce new equipment. My favorite event from the game is the one where they had people choose between saving one planet to earn anti-tank mines, which also was the player base's third opportunity to earn anti-tank mines at the time, or save a planet that was home to orphans, in which your reward was nothing other than knowing these fictional children that were not real, that you didn't even actually get to see in the game, that you didn't actually get to see the orphanages of in the game to protect from getting squashed by automatons. You just got to know that they weren't dead. Of course, the internet being the internet, and it's one of those moments where I'm actually proud of the internet. They rallied together in the name of Super Earth and defended the children because, quote, they can be Helldivers too, unquote. And this decision actually saw Arrowhead Studios donating money to a real charity. In fact, it was actually really clever what they did. The amount they donated actually spelled out the word hell. It also saw anti-tank mines become such a meme that Joel and the developers had to make an event that forced players to earn the tank mines even when we tried to fail it. It truly is the game that is a game. But all of this stems from a recent issue where the game is getting harder, but it isn't adapting to its smaller player base. The issue with live service games is that they require gamers to only want to play that game to maintain consistent revenue. Helldivers 2 has a consistent player base, but the numbers are not as high as they used to be. The events aren't impossible, they just require more players to be active at once. The issue is that video games are meant to be played in waves, which impacts the game's story heavily.
That feels like it was supposed to be, we win, the Illuminate get banished, and then when like just randomly the Illuminate are like, bye-bye, I'm like, wait a minute. Like there have been, like, of course, like I said, you know, the whole like save the children or the tank mines. I do appreciate how so many of the times they leave the story open enough that, hey, you know, whether we win or fail an objective, the story, like they but at least a few of the recent events, it feels like Joel intended people to do one thing and then he's had to like rush and like once again, like I think what has been said was, oh, hey, this wasn't the full Illuminate force. What it was this was just like a test force to test our defenses. And that's why they just disappeared. But I'm like, that, especially when I'm seeing like videos of people, like what looks like an entire invasion army destroying a city. Like that doesn't look like a test of Super Earth defenses. That looks like Joel intended people to do a lot better and they didn't. So they had to, like, I don't know. I'm like, what is going, because like, I know a while back, like, what? Was Cyberstan the thing where the automatons took over the social media?
Yeah, it was. And also there was a time where it seemed like we defeated the automatons. They were all gone. And then there was a time where you could only fight bugs for like a day or two. And then there was a tweet that came out and it was saying how, their reinforcements are here. So many automaton ships coming into every planet. And we had to go and defeat them and fight them. Basically, it got worse. It was like that was them. Like that. They brought reinforcements this time. But yeah, I do like it was say like do better with the whole Joel thing in a way. Like do better and try and get all this done. But I think they're still like in terms of like that stuff with the game, the Illuminate, the bugs, and then the automatons, the Tyranids is what they're called, the bugs. I think they're handling that really well.
Yeah.
I think they always have been.
I think the overall story, it's not suffering, but there are a few events where I'm like, I don't think they planned for us to do this badly.
Yeah, there's moments where, well, also there was a time where the game genuinely was kind of falling off a little bit. I remember when I was first playing the game, it had like over 250,000 active players.
The issue isn't purely because it's out of fashion. Arrowhead was hurt by the classic case of a studio meddling where it didn't need to meddle. When the game first released, a PSN account was not required for non-PlayStation players, though Sony did make people aware that it would eventually be required, though, once again, it wasn't required at the time. For context, Sony accounts are constantly getting hacked, and not every country has access to PSN. So the fact that it wasn't required yet was a good thing, and many were hoping this just would never be implemented because, once again, Sony is notorious for getting hacked, and reminder, most countries don't have access to PSN, or PlayStation Network as it's called. Yet, out of nowhere, in 2025, Sony said people only had a week, that's right, a week, to connect their game to a PSN account. After enough backlash, they walked back the statement, but the damage was done. Peyton was still playing on PC at this point, and he even started boycotting the game at one point.
I'm just not going to play till they fix it.
And have they fixed it, or?
I believe they have.
I believe they have,
I don't
yeah.
think I've had to make a PlayStation account. But also, that was around the time I got busy with life, got busy with school. I had to put the game down for a minute. But I also didn't want to cross the picket line because, let's be honest, it locked how many people out? I mean, there was
Like a
certain
good
countries
chunk
who couldn't get a PlayStation
because they didn't
account,
have access to it.
simply for the lack of servers.
Yeah.
And then there's people who were sidelined. Like, I don't like PlayStation. I don't want to give them my personal information, but now you have to.
Yeah,
Instead
and
of
that's a horrible thing.
playing the game you already had. In fact, it got so bad that
Didn't
they
they make
reversed it.
And not only that, didn't they also make like a special like cape for players?
They did, and it's a given, I believe, to every player. It was an anniversary.
It was an anniversary flag that reflected the fact that this game had stellar reviews.
And it
then
shows
when they
the review,
announced-
and then it just shows it drop,
Like,
drop,
genuinely,
and it
this
shoots
game
back up
has-
as soon as it's fixed.
Like, this game had some of the highest reviews, I think, of any game
I
I've
left
ever
a good
seen.
review, and then I went and took it down.
Yeah, because Sony was just screwing everyone over.
And if it wasn't for the fact that I'm an Xbox player, I maybe wouldn't be as mad, because I'd assume I'd already have a Sony account, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's for the fact of the matter of I didn't want to make another account. I don't have any interest in Sony.
Yeah.
And I already paid for the game, so I should be able to play the game as it is.
And that's
I
completely
shouldn't have to
understandable.
add anything new.
Even as a PlayStation player, Connor has noticed the drop and was actually mad at Arrowhead's decision. He's seen how player count will tick back up occasionally, but because of the nature of these games, they never reach the peak numbers they were reaching before.
I think it was that Super Earth event. Part of the reason why everyone was doing so bad was because that was
Yeah.
like shortly after the PSN thing. Well, it was a few months after. A year.
Well, still, I
while.
mean, you look at it now. Like, I played 2 weeks ago, and there was only 40,000 online.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like when the game first came out, it was almost like 300,000.
And these
playing at one
events are
point.
like still like designed for
Yep.
that 300,000.
and they need the people, but the problem is there's not a lot of people still playing the game. Like, I mean, heck, we'll get on tonight and probably see. Now, I did see like a while ago, I did see there was over 150,000 people playing. So people do get on the game, they really do. But I feel like when like a new Warbond comes out, people get on, then it gets stale, and they kind of just the game is repetitive a little bit, but it's still fun. I think because new funny moments can happen every time. And it's more fun if you switch it up and don't just attack one simple faction each time. Like, play around against the bugs, play around against the robots, play around against the Illuminate.
Peyton does not think the game will ever reach its old numbers.
No, you've made those people permanently mad, and I don't think they're ever going to come back to you.
That's valid.
I mean, you're going to skim a few back, but there's some real tough nuggets out there who've already forgotten about you. They've moved on to the next big thing. You could have kept them. They could have been your biggest supporter. Except for the fact you let corporate overlords decide how your game's going to run.
It's a game that's ran its course, but thanks to the world building and gameplay style, it's able to survive on low player levels, which is great for those that want to hop on for maybe an hour to a month, unless it's a major event. Then, yeah, we're going to struggle. But before we go any further, I think it's time we take a tea break. For this episode, I had a third guest lined up. For this tea break, I sat down with Jacob Thomas. Jacob is a friend of mine and one of the leaders of Marshall's Wesley Campus Ministry Group. He's an alumnus of Marshall, having graduated with a bachelor's in history and political science, and even earning a master's in history. He's recently came back to Marshall to get a certificate in teaching. Alongside all that, he's also a podcaster. He hosts the show The History Book, which he began at Marshall and has continued through the years.
So The History Book is a podcast I started back in 2019, actually right before I graduated from Marshall with my master's. I used to do it in the John Spott's room, and it was a Facebook Live kind of thing, and then it kind of transitioned into its own podcast where I focus on the good, the bad, and the ugly of history, sort of the stories that make us. And it's a little bit of, sometimes it's interviews with some really awesome historical sites, and other times it's just me talking to you.
I invited Jacob on because of his focus on history. While figuring out the tea for this episode, I had a weird thought process on how I could connect the tea to the game. The previous episodes were me trying to figure out the format, but I still wanted to keep the tea relevant to the topic. First episode, we had a vanilla tea that was earthy enough for Minecraft. And last episode, we focused on herbal tea because of both its involvement in Stardew, as well as being both of the guests' favorite tea. Helldivers doesn't feature tea or any other form of drink. And so I decided to take advantage of my friend's vast knowledge and also provide listeners with a fun history lesson about the Civil War. And, of course, we had to learn why Jacob loved the Civil War so much.
I brought you on today, primarily because the other two people I have in this show, I don't think they're into tea. The closest they get is coffee. And, we're talking about Helldivers today, and as you pointed out before we started recording here, the exact text I sent you was, my thought process was, war, Civil War, Jacob.
Just to correct you, it was war, Civil War, Jacob.
Oh, okay.
So it was even more confusing for a person that had no idea what you were asking.
So your favorite time period is the Civil War.
Yeah.
So before, I know we're holding back on the tea, but also I like learning about the guests. I like learning about how they relax. So how do you find studying the Civil War? Is that something you find relaxing?
In a weird way, yes.
Okay, explain.
I think you've been on like a Civil War battlefield with me before.
I do not think so. That's something we have to do one day.
It's a lot of fun. That part of it I find really relaxing. Sort of being able to go out on the battlefield and kind of feel the history. There's certain places that you just feel the history, is the best way I can put it. As far as actually studying it, so like reading, doing podcast episodes on it, or just talking to other people about it, that's just something that kind of gives me energy. I'm definitely more of an introvert than I am an extrovert. But I also know that I run on a very small social battery. Talking Civil War is something that does not drain that battery for me. So yeah, it sort of relaxes, but sort of energizes me, kind of like tea does.
Now, the actual tea we drank is not the tea we focused on because of price and also the fact that that tea is from another country, so we wouldn't have been able to import it in time, but it was close enough. Our beverage for this episode was the Bigelow Company's green tea with mint, and I'll go ahead and spoil it. This has been one of my favorite teas yet, and I understand why Jacob loves it.
So there are a couple teas that I really enjoy. This is definitely one of them. I prefer stuff with mint in it just because it also settles your stomach, and it can kind of work as a natural pain reliever in a lot of ways. So like if you have a toothache, putting peppermint oil on your gum can actually soothe some of that pain naturally. So that's a big part of it for me, is just the mint part.
For this episode, I also tried a different way of enjoying the tea. I think that difference is part of the reason that I really enjoyed the flavor this time.
I just remembered, the very first episode, I did actually have a vanilla and mint tea from Harney & Sons, and at least for me sitting here, we did do a little extra stuff with it. But I will say, I'm enjoying the mint flavor. I don't think it's as overpowering as the Harney & Sons flavor I had earlier.
And to be fair, I prefer a little bit of sweetener in my tea.
Yeah, we did use
Splenda. I put 2 packs of Splenda in it. Splenda is a preference for myself. But I like a little bit of sweetness to it, just because I think it actually gives it a little more of a taste.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but it feels like, at least what I'm feeling, it just by chance, Chloe Peacock, who I've featured in 2 other episodes, is in the room with us, so she'll understand what I'm referencing. But it actually tastes a little like that licorice tea me and you tasted that time.
Throat coat?
Yeah, the throat coat. Mm-hmm. And but also, like, it feels like the Splenda is actually bringing out the mint a little more in the flavor.
Yeah, so another tea that I really, really appreciate is Sleepy Time tea, because that will usually have mint in it, because mint has that tendency to sort of relax you, and it cools you off, and it makes you feel more relaxed and sleep, and especially when you're not feeling well. Sleepy Time tea is the way to go.
We did in fact use Splenda. For me, the tea did remind me of the licorice tea from last episode. Yet, even though it reminded me of it, I was liking it for the very reasons I wasn't a fan of the licorice tea. But it did have a really nice presence in the front of the face. In terms of the Splenda, we each used 2 packs, and I'll let Jacob explain how he determines what makes the right amount of packs.
It's a mood thing. Being sort of this early in the evening, 2 isn't going to keep me up all night because it is caffeinated.
It'll get us through our campus ministry group meeting. That's
No,
sure.
it won't.
Oh.
I'll go get a coffee after this one. But 2 packs is generally what I stick with, just because it's enough to basically give the tea a good amount of flavoring. But 1 pack will work too. It's just 2, I think, brings out the flavoring as most.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 pack is especially if I'm drinking that sleepy time tea like we had talked about. 1 pack for the sleepy time tea was perfect.
I know the more I've been drinking this, I do notice what you mean by like it kind of cools you down, because like there's that it's not like cold feeling in my mouth,
But you kind of feel like you're sinking into the seat a little more.
yeah, it's like I'm
I do have to ask, and I know since you're not a huge tea person, do you enjoy it?
oh yeah, I'm loving this.
Okay.
I once again I think you're right. The Splenda helps bring it out, and I do think the Splenda helps bring out the mint a little more.
Mm-hmm.
I also, like I was saying, this is a weird metaphor. Of course, when I drink it, it's not like cold, like as in like, oh, it's a cold iced drink. It's still warm, but that cold feeling, it kind of feels like when you put like Icy Hot or like the Equate brand version cooling heat on.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not that your body's getting cold, but there's that like, not like
It's like chewing wintergreen gum.
Yeah, it's that like sting,
Yeah.
but not like harmful sting, but that like nice like ooh.
It's soothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's this, and I like.
Yeah, like
how
I was saying earlier, that's why peppermint can be used as like a natural like pain reliever
Yeah.
to some extent.
I do
Is
appreciate.
it's soothing.
Yeah, I do appreciate how the flavors kind of staying up near my gums. That is a nice, and there's this smoothness to it. I'm really enjoying.
Jacob had one final piece of advice for tea drinkers related to lemons.
I will say that I have tried to put milk in my tea. I'm not a fan. Lemon is also really good in tea. It depends. It wouldn't be good in this because lemon and mint doesn't really go well together. But a little bit of lemon in a sleepy time tea is pretty good.
Having grown up in North Carolina, there's actually a specific type of tea that Jacob remembers fondly. Sweet tea.
Ooh, growing up in North Carolina, you can't go wrong with sweet tea, man.
I feel like Dr. Quick would be mad at that answer, but I do agree. Even though West Virginia's membership of like being considered a southern state in modern days, not in terms of Civil War, is debatable. At least here, it's also a big thing.
I
Sweet tea.
would argue that this area I would consider southern, because in all seriousness, we're further south than Richmond is geographically, and every restaurant you go to here, if you ask for sweet tea, you're going to find sweet tea.
Like they will have 2 things, whereas like I think even in West Virginia, the farther north you get, because I know in Pennsylvania I heard like once you get to Pennsylvania, if you ask for sweet tea, they're going to hand you tea, unsweetened tea,
And some sweetener.
Where and like,
Or they'll ask if you want raspberry tea a lot. It's interesting, but it's also unsweetened. So, funny story about unsweetened tea, just a little of an aside here. I used to be one of the student managers over the student center and facilities. And anytime Sodexo would leave the room, they would usually let us know. We could go in, we could grab whatever food was left, because they're just going to throw it out anyways. And sometimes they would forget to put the sign on, whether it was sweet tea or unsweetened tea. And they like to play the joke of, is it sweet or is it unsweet? Let's make Jacob find out, because I cannot stand the taste of unsweetened tea.
Yeah.
And, as I put it, the one time I drank it was, that's not tea, that's an abomination in a mug.
Way down south in the land of traitors, rattlesnakes and alligators, right away, come away, right away, come away. Where cotton's king and men are chattels, Union boys will win the battles, right away, come away, right away, come away.
As I mentioned earlier, Jacob heavily researches the Civil War era. In fact, when I asked him about being on today's episode, he immediately had a tea in mind to discuss.
As far as it being green tea, it's actually most likely the most popular tea that would have been drank during the Civil War. Or at least a version of it. So the version that they most likely would have been drinking during the Civil War is gunpowder green tea, which is essentially green tea that's sort of been grinded up and put into pellets that kind of look like bullets. So they call it gunpowder tea. Primarily comes from China, but for our purposes, we went with just a regular green tea because I can't really order something from China and have it get in here on time.
Yeah.
While green tea was popular in the South, the region heavily impacted one's preferred beverage.
So it sort of depends on what perspective you want to look at.
Okay.
If you're talking northern states, they're going to have access to whatever they want. Coffee is still primarily the drink of choice. Still is now. 85%, I believe, prefer coffee. So during the war, the Union states, northern states, can pretty much get whatever they want, which is mostly coffee and tea for whatever drink they want.
Even though we said gunpowder tea was the most popular, due to trade restrictions, there were many new discoveries in the world of tea for the southern states because of monetary limits.
As far as the southern states go, during the war, there was a Union blockade across southern states. So they can't import tea from China and Japan and Great Britain like they normally would. And by that point, Indian tea was also becoming very popular because of the East Indian Tea Company. But essentially what happens is the South can't really get regular tea like what we're drinking today. So they would make tea out of sweet potatoes, acorns, corn, rye, just a bunch of different things. I actually looked it up, and so you can actually chart out the price of like coffee and tea by pound across the war. In 1861 in the South, so tea and coffee are pretty similar as far as poundage and what they cost. So in 1861, a pound of coffee and tea cost about $3 a pound. By 1864, coffee and tea is going as high as $60 per pound. And adjusting for like today's money, that's about we say like over $1,200 a pound per coffee and tea because they can't get it because they have no access to it.
I even got to learn about an evil biscuit called hardtack, which was popular during the Civil War era due to its ease of access. I had to know just how edible this evil biscuit was.
By edible, I mean like I can consume it, break it down, and maybe enjoy it.
You would not enjoy this.
Okay.
Let's just go ahead and get that out of
Yeah, the enjoyment was like not a requirement for edible, in my opinion.
No, you would not enjoy this.
Okay.
I've had it a couple times. It's horrifyingly bad.
Oh.
Now, that does relate to the coffee and tea thing, because I think they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. You always gotta have a good biscuit with a good cup of coffee and tea.
Yeah. So, essentially, what hardtack is it's using flour, water, and that's about it to make a biscuit.
Oh.
So it's not flavored, it's not salted. However, they would get some flavoring because it also came in barrels. That's how they would ship it to the soldiers on the front lines. And, being shipped in barrels tends to have some critter friends into the hardtack, and apparently it would give it more flavor.
Oh. Okay.
So in order to bite into the hardtack, you cannot. It is nearly impossible to bite into.
Okay.
What they would do is they would dip it in coffee and tea, and it would tend to soften up a little bit to where you could actually eat it.
Before we wrap up tea time, Jacob had some final words about tea and even a new type of tea he learned about.
Tea has always been vastly important to America. It's been there since our founding. I mean, the Boston Tea Party was us throwing British tea into the harbor. I always wondered why they didn't drink it, but there was something they created during the American Revolution called Freedom Tea, which is basically just tea of their own making.
Okay.
And in my little bit of research I did for this podcast with you, I did have to look up the idea of making sweet potato tea. And there is an article in the Memphis newspaper in 1861 where they're talking about how you do this. So essentially you cut up the sweet potato towards about the size of the tip of your little finger. You grind it up and mash it up just like you would coffee grounds. And it apparently makes a halfway decent cup of
Really?
like coffee, tea.
Okay.
I'm personally not going to drink that.
Yeah, no.
I love sweet potatoes, but I don't want it in my drink.
Sounds abhorrent.
Yeah. But apparently it's not half bad.
I'd like to thank Jacob for sitting down to enjoy a cup of tea with me. And if you want to hear more about Jacob's history knowledge, you can follow his podcast, The History Book, on Facebook and Instagram, and even listen to it on Spotify. The Bigelow's green tea with mint truly has been one of my favorite teas. It's a perfect drink. It wasn't too hot, and there was a nice level of flavor. The Splenda added a sweetness that paired nicely with the chill of the mint. However, like the vanilla with mint tea we had in episode 1, the mint scent might be too much for some. If you're a fan of mint or don't mind the smell, I would recommend this greatly. Overall, Bigelow's green tea with mint gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Now, back to more Helldivers 2. As mentioned before, the average gameplay loop is drop down onto a planet, complete objectives, rinse and repeat. For Peyton, it's a little more involved as he farms super credits, a currency in-game that you can earn through regular gameplay, or you can buy with real money. It's actually a moment for him to relax.
So typically I'm just sitting there bored out of my mind, and I decide I'm going to load up Helldivers. I get my stratagem or my major order completed. I go load into a game. I play around on it for a little bit. Realize I want a new toy. I go grind out some credits probably. And then it just repeats all over again. I go back to playing the game. Realize I'm bored with what I have. Want to get something new. And I grind more credits or I buy credits. It's mainly just the cycle of play. Okay, I now want something new. So I get something new. And then I go have a blast with it, and then it just keeps happening and happening. The credit farming is honestly pretty cathartic.
Okay.
It's the most calmest thing I think I've ever done. You get to just walk around the map and look. Like, you never admire the detail they've put into the game about places.
Until you're actually, like, taking the time to stop and say, hey, I'm going to farm
Right.
these resources.
Like, most people probably haven't read the little notes that come with some of the POIs.
I know, I don't.
You should stop and read them. There's as much thought into those as there is the quick tips.
Really?
Yes. And not the Dr. Quick tips.
Huh.
Hey, Quick, you should play Helldivers with us.
Peyton could easily swipe his credit card to get credits, but he thinks the grind makes earning this new equipment more rewarding.
There's always something new. Every month we get something new. And don't get me wrong, it's $10 for it, but you can grind it out. And typically I try to. I mean, when I played on PC, that was like what most of my time was grinding stuff out just to get more fun stuff to go and have a blast with my friends. Now that I'm moved to Xbox and I have to start all over again, you can assume that it's tripled. And the things I had on PC I no longer have. I get to experience it all again. The joy of reopening it, getting it back.
So you don't actually mind having to restart?
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times I do. I really just want to play the game and not farm. But I feel like going and earning it made it feel a lot better than just saying, well, here's the credit card. Just give me the toy.
Yeah. No, I get that. I actually almost considered buying a bunch of super credits, but then I was like, well, where's the fun in that?
Like, I know that most people think grinding the game is stupid, and don't get me wrong, it is, but you can do this through normal gameplay.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit down and grind. Sure, it goes faster with the grind, but you can enjoy the game and get the credits.
Yeah, you don't even have to grind if you don't, like, I have yet to get any of the, like, the fancy war bonds, the premium war bonds, and I'm still having a heck of a time with, like, the base game.
Okay, I just want to say I'm a sucker for World War I, World War II,
Well,
things of that nature. Siege. So I may have dropped $20 in the last 2 months on that game. And then when Halo came out, I dropped money there too on PC.
yeah.
But past that, I've not paid money for much of it. I've earned the credits. Whether it be, saving it from the war bond, getting it in the world.
One of, in my opinion, the biggest issues with the game is that it is live service in nature. Now, I say this, then I immediately walk back that statement by saying this is one of the few games that justifies the live service format. Live service games are a tricky thing to talk about. Live service games are games as a service. It's in the name. The idea started actually with MMOs, as a consistent subscription would be able to keep developers paid as they maintained and created new content for the game. Typically, the live service model is used exclusively for multiplayer games, but can be present in games where single player is the focus, but multiplayer is used to enhance the experience. It's a tricky path to walk. While live service games are not inherently bad, the games industry's insistence on making more and more games live service is. It really is easy to tell whether a game is good as a live service or not. For example, the Suicide Squad game from a few years ago is not a good example of a live service game because its premise of 5 unique playable villains is harmed by the fact that outside of movement and glide controls, they all default to guns and can use the same types of guns. Yes, let the Shark Man use a gun instead of his giant hands and jaw. On the other hand, Helldivers 2 works as a live service model because, unlike other developers, Arrowhead is actively creating more content. However, this can actually become an issue. Helldivers 2 is $40 to buy. There's also a deluxe edition that gives you some stuff, but it's alternate materials that don't impact the game too much. When you open the game, you aren't blasted with ads to buy stuff like some other games will. But once you do find the in-game store, you see the issue that wasn't originally an issue. The game's bonus content comes in the form of war bonds, a series of rewards that, by earning democracy medals, the main in-game currency alongside the in-game Republic points that you will earn by completing missions, and you cannot spend real money to gain, you can spend said medals to unlock rewards in the different tiers of the war bond. When you buy the game, you are instantly given a free war bond. For the first few months, war bonds were not game-breaking, and it made sense. Most of the time, while a player will carry a primary and secondary weapon with them, they mainly run their massive support weapons as their main. These support weapons are unlockable by spending the in-game Republic points to improve your Super Destroyer alongside other various stratagems and other in-game things. I don't fully understand the Super Destroyer upgrade system yet, but at least for the longest time, these upgrades were purely things you would gain in the game. Outside of new armor that had skills from armor sets that you already had, so it was really only Fashion Diver at that point, and weapons that were basically alt skins of existing weapons that were only primaries and secondaries at this point, war bonds felt purely cosmetic and unnecessary to have a complete experience. You heard Connor talk earlier about how player counts will tick up when new war bonds drop, and that's because as of the Chemical Agents war bond, the 7th war bond in the game that dropped on September 19th, 2024, the game began to lock stratagems behind war bonds. Chemical Agents was the first war bond to effectively lock a new gameplay style behind paid content. That war bond introduced chemical weapons to the game. Since then, the game has done the same method for every war bond. While statements were made insinuating more free war bonds would be introduced later, so far only paid war bonds have been added, and the one free war bond that is present hasn't had content added to it. One thing I've also noticed is that while there is a little store that allows you to buy items from the war bonds, you can't just buy the items separately. They'll give you a few of them, and you'll hear Peyton talk about it more. You can buy a few of them, but most of the stuff is still locked behind stuff. In fact, you can't buy the stratagem separately, and it is genuinely annoying. It's even led Peyton to think differently about Arrowhead as a developer.
So what's your opinions on Arrowhead as a developer?
Complicated.
How so?
It's not I love them. It's not that I hate them. I get they have to make money. But they make some decisions that make me go, what? That's your solution? Like, they'll make a problem, and then the next Hellbound, they'll give you the solution. Or they'll make something and lock it behind it, and it was like one of the first Hellbounds, the thermite grenade. It's still the best thing in the freaking game. It beats any other grenade by a mile. There's no reason to use any other. Like, all them early war bonds are so strong, and there's not been a power creep. And if there was, then that would also be a problem.
I will also add, as someone who like wasn't really big on buying the war bonds, at least the first few war bonds I saw, for me, it never looked like the war bonds were a necessity, you know?
They aren't until they are.
But then they started, because like at least the first few, when the game first released, it felt like that was just purely cosmetic stuff. Especially when you realize like most of the suits of armor in this game are like, the helmets don't do anything for your defense. Most armors are purely cosmetic.
Well, every armor comes with an ability. And you can get it outside the war bond by just paying the money in the super credit store.
The good news is, unlike most other live service games, Helldivers 2 never forces you to buy these, but it kind of does. In fact, that's actually one of the reasons why so many people hate live service games. Kind of the beauty of video games, if you will, is that, you know, once a game is over, it's over. In fact, the original Helldivers 1 was also live service in nature in the sense that it was played from a top-down perspective and was a massive, always-online game. It was a critically acclaimed game, but at least when its life cycle was over and its story was done, when they shut down the servers, they did actually create a single-player mode for players to enjoy. Yet, most live service games don't last that long. In fact, there have been many stories recently of live service games shutting down within the first few months because players don't want to stick around. There are too many games, and the problem is that while live service isn't inherently bad, look at MMOs like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV, most live service games are trying to keep you playing that one game forever over every other game. It just doesn't work. And once again, Helldivers 2 never forces you to buy these war bonds, but it does kind of force you.
I'm a bit of a loser when it comes to this, because I went and bought the ones that supplemented the way I wanted to play. You can't play the way you want to play without owning a specific set.
Yeah.
The specific bonuses work well with specific things, and those open new ways to play. So like I said, the double-edged sickle, plus the firefighter armor. And sure, you get firefighter outside of the war bond. But you can not get the light version of it. You can only get the medium version of it. There's the heavy and the light version still off behind it.
Believe me, this annoyance from both guests isn't coming from a place of hatred, and while I didn't use any of Connor's quotes, even Connor has been annoyed with the Warbond system. Me and him spoke heavily about the issue arriving from the fact that really what they should have done is that they should have just created a season pass system that allowed you to buy like a season's worth of war bonds. That way, you know, maybe it wouldn't have been different, but I feel like it would have been monetarily a little nicer. I don't know. There really isn't a good way to settle this issue. Both Peyton and Connor have opinions on how the game should have been handled. Both agreed that the game should have either been 40 and everything free, or at least try to sell things in better packages. While they have their annoyances, they still love this game. Helldivers 2 falls under the term friend slop, which is a subgenre of games that are geared towards bringing friends together. While slop is in the name, most of the games that fall under friend slop are good games. It's only really used to refer to how often these games get released, and because of the fact that these games are actually only popular for a few weeks before the game dies. For Connor, Helldivers' status as a friend slop game is a badge of honor for the game.
But I think Helldivers is like where friend slop kind of peaked a little bit, and then you have games like Repo, Lethal Company.
Yeah,
that's a big one. That is another game that I think was really good, but also geez, at one point it was doing better than Call of Duty at the time, which is insane. A little indie game. But I think, again, that game fell off. No one plays it anymore. People still do, but not a lot of the time. That game is horrifying, though.
It's not like the famous one.
Yeah, it's not famous anymore because all these games have a run for like a couple months and then they just like fall off a cliff because another friend slap game comes out and they go play that one.
At the end of the day, they still find ways to find the game relaxing. You heard earlier near the beginning how Connor's love of the game stems from how stupid him and his friends would get. I myself play with a level of intentional incompetency. Because I have poor eyesight, the minimap is small and hard to read, and then controls are not always the most intuitive for me. I have to hold my controller in weird ways just to press buttons when I need to press them. So I find fun in being stupid intentionally. It's fun when I'm dead after getting swarmed, digging through a bag of popcorn, annoyingly telling Peyton to respawn me, respawn me, respawn me, when he himself is physically unable to respawn me. For Peyton, there's a lot about Helldivers that makes it comfy, especially compared to other shooter games that require so much prior planning. It's the simplicity that makes it great.
Just being able to run around the planet, kill a bunch of things, blow up a bunch of ships, get off the planet, is so relaxing to me. It's just the ability to turn the brain off and do something and win. And to be given, oh, you did a great job for doing something that's really not that bad. I sat here in bed like a chud and played my video game, and it's telling me good job.
Good job, kiddo. You saved America. Woo!
Though he recognizes that it will come to an end.
Do you think you will ever stop finding Helldivers 2 comfy?
Comfy? No. Enjoyable? Yes. Something can be comfy but not enjoyable, if that makes sense. The way we're currently progressing, I don't think I'm going to get there anytime soon. I think it might be a year from now, 2 years from now. There'll come a point where I'm just like, okay, this ain't doing it for me anymore. And I'll move on to the next Helldivers.
It's the fact that the game isn't comfy that keeps Peyton coming back.
Me and you're getting at is that what makes this such a comfy game is the fact that, like, the actual game itself isn't comfy because it's tough. It's difficult. What makes it comfy is like when I'm playing with buddies.
Yeah, you just goof around. I mean, even solo you can do this. You can go join people. And don't get me wrong, you can't team kill them. You shouldn't.
You shouldn't. Don't be a douche.
But you and 4 random people just came together to do this.
While Helldivers isn't Connor's most comforting game, he still finds the friend slop aspect to be what makes it comfy for him.
You know, in a sense, it's not. But when you play it with your friends, it's much.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I do get kind of annoyed playing the game with my friends because they're kind of stupid. But I do enjoy it a lot. It's a very comforting game to play with your buddies. Again, it's a friend slop game. But when I say slop, not in a like a bad way, because this is a good game. I don't necessarily think this is my comfort game. Obviously, if I had to say a comfort game, it's going to sound really weird when I say this. Because you're going to think Resident Evil 4 is probably my comfort game.
We're nearing the end of the show, and I would like to thank Connor and Peyton for joining me on this episode, as well as Jacob. Once again, Jacob's show, The History Book, is available on Facebook and Spotify, and Connor's program, List Life, can be heard on WMUL 88.1 FM's SoundCloud, as well as the Dead Podcaster Society's YouTube channel.
My tank! That's on
My
you, man.
tank! Sheila! Sheila! My Sheila!
Oh, cool, a sample. On the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. Something shooting at us from behind. I can't shoot it even though I'm in a tank. Okay, hey, pretty red light. Okay.
Calling in reinforcements.
During our conversation, Connor referred to Helldivers as the monopoly of friend slop, and honestly, that is the best way I can describe it. So many times, me and Peyton I wouldn't even get mad at Peyton. Peyton would jokingly get mad at me because I just can't survive in the game. It genuinely is a game that thrives off of being stupid amidst the chaos. While the game has had its ups and downs, its ability to bring friends together is unparalleled. There are so many other things I wish I could cover, from how players treat the lore of Helldivers 2 and how Super Earth is the real bad guys, to even actually more ways that Arrowhead actually rewarded players for review bombing the game during the whole PSN situation. But that's not for this program, as we're running low on time. Helldivers is a game about grabbing your guns and letting off steam. It's a chance to sit back, as Peyton said, sit back on your bed like a chud, and just let the gun go. Whether you win or lose, gunning down enemies is a great pastime, especially when they're just robots that have no thoughts or emotion. It's this cathartic feeling and release of emotion that truly makes Helldivers 2 a comfy game.